I am not sure what I should be doing. I just know that this isn't it. That started off a conversation recently with a client as we were looking at his next steps in business and in life. Knowing what it is not is a win already. But tapping into that thing you feel you were meant to do is what I notice more and more people seem to be on the lookout for today. But there is a key word in what he said that can really throw you off track if you're leaning into building your business and your life more on purpose. So what's that word? I'm not sure what I should be doing. The problem boils down to the word should. Today we're going to look at how should could be the problem and not the solution to creating a life that excites and inspires you. I remember a time when things were really going rough in my first business. No money left, no savings, no time, very stressed. And I felt like maybe everyone else was right. Maybe I should just go back and get a job. Just the thought made me feel terrible. It pained my soul to think about what I should do. For everyone else, it seemed clear what I should do, and boy, were they happy to give me unsolicited advice. But I felt in a constant state of friction. I would torment myself with the shoulds, and the shoulds created more anxiety, more fear, more negativity. The more airtime I gave to the shoulds, the harder and harder things got. Maybe I should get a job. Maybe I should move back to the U.S. Maybe I should spend more time with this person. I should help out that person. I should. Until that soft voice from within said, "You should?" Says who? I had gotten myself into a chokehold that was not letting me maneuver. But I didn't have an answer to that question. So I made a list of all the things I should do, and then I tried to answer, says who? Those shoulds didn't belong to me. Some of them belonged to society, to some social narrative or construct that had been embedded in my thinking. Some of them belonged to other people, to things my parents told me when I was young. My grandmother, who I absolutely adore, she had this thing she would do that we lovingly called a guilt trip. A lot of my shoulds were coming from guilt trips I'd been on earlier in life. Is there anyone who has ever put you on a guilt trip? It was like a leash. Not only were these shoulds coming from the outside, they also did not belong to the present moment I was living. And in restraining myself to conform to the shoulds, I was overlooking my duty to me. My only duty to me is to become the fullest expression of myself. I could not grow or expand, or even discover and awaken new possibilities in me if I was tied down by the shoulds, which are just someone else's rules. Think about some of the things you feel right now inclined, drawn, driven to do, but the shoulds are holding you back. Explore who said you should, who set up those rules. When we're looking at making a major change, especially doing a new kind of work in a new way that really inspires us and lights us up, that intuition, that impetus to do something different, where is it coming from? When I ask this to my clients, they always tell me the same thing. It's coming from within. It's gnawing at their soul to make a change. They have a sense of knowing that they're capable of more, that they were made for more, until the shoulds kick in and dictate from the outside what the only right way must be, as if there's only one right answer. So, going back to the conversation with my client who's not sure what he should do, I asked him what would be the options if there was not just one right answer. What would be the possibilities if we just rolled back the shoulds? What if we got rid of the expectations that society had set up in his mind? What if we looked at what would bring him joy, and a sense of advancement and purpose. Exploring options, if he rolled back all the shoulds, there was so much more available that he just couldn't see before. There were new packages he could create in his business, new skills he could develop. There were new markets he could work with. There were completely different services he could offer. There were partnerships he could build. There were revenue models he could explore. And as he would name these, I could feel his spirit coming more alive. Rolling back the shoulds opens you up to possibility, which is where your true creative power lies. So I got off the call with that client, who has now mapped out a plan that feels really good for him, and I'm super tuned in to the shoulds. And the first thought that crossed my mind was, okay, I've been offline for 2 hours, I should check my email. And as soon as I saw the should, I had another thought. But what I really want is to go make myself a coffee. And I realized there's another insidious player in this game. The should creates a state of resistance because I did not want to check my email. And that gave rise to the evil counterpart of the should, the wants. So, I should check my email, but I want to go get a coffee. Do you know which of those things would have been the highest choice for me? Neither. We create the wants to counter the shoulds, which creates a permanent state of tension and poor choices. I have a calendar block in place to check my email, and it will get checked. And I already had a whole percolator of coffee this morning. The wants can be worse than the shoulds. Can you think of a time where you've been torn between the shoulds and the wants? It's like when you think, maybe so-and-so's right, I should be out there networking more, but I really just want to focus on building out this content. And in reality, so-and-so's never been an entrepreneur. And you don't need to be out there networking right now, nor do you need to be doing this content. What you need to be doing is getting on sales calls. You just can't see it because you're too caught up in the shoulds and the wants. So, now we don't have just a guilty should. We have a conflict, a state of friction and constant struggle between what we should do and what we want to do. The wants show up as an alternative to the shoulds, and then you're torn between the shoulds and the wants. Meanwhile, the true impulse that can move you forward is not coming through because you're mentally in a ping-pong game between the shoulds and the wants. The shoulds that make you feel guilty come from the outside. A want gets you running away from the should as fast and furiously as you can, and this leaves you blind and deaf to the internal you. The thing is, if you're not running away from anything, and you're not chasing anything, well, where does this leave you? It leaves you present to embrace whatever is before you and see the possibilities in your path. You just do. So between wanting another pot of coffee and shooting to check my email, I said to myself, forget both. What is the best action for me to take right now? And I knew that that was taking notes on the call I just had, and so that's what I did. Don't take my word for this. Test it out for yourself. Say this out loud and see how it makes you feel. I'm getting up tomorrow and going to the gym. Now say, I should get up tomorrow and go to the gym. Do you notice a difference in how it feels? It feels a lot more powerful to make choices without a should, doesn't it? And then you also don't have to contend with the whiny, but I want to sleep in. So here's what to remember. First, the word should is a signal that you're operating from someone else's rules, not your own inner wisdom. When you catch yourself saying, I should, ask yourself, says who? Most of the time, these rules came from society, family expectations, or old guilt trips that no longer serve you. Second, rolling back the shoulds opens up possibilities you couldn't see before. When you remove external expectations, you create space to discover what actually aligns with your purpose and brings you energy. Third, the wants that show up to counter the shoulds create their own trap. You end up in this ping-pong match between guilt and rebellion, neither of which represents your highest choice. And fourth, the most powerful decisions come from presence, not from running away from the shoulds or chasing the wants. When you simply choose based on what serves you best right now, you operate from clarity and strength. So, the next time you catch yourself saying, I should, pause and ask, says who? Strip away those external expectations and the reactive wants and listen for what your inner wisdom is telling you. That's where your real power lies, not in following someone else's rules, but in making clear choices from your own center. I'm Melissa Marchand, helping accomplished professionals build consulting businesses they love. If you know someone who's stuck in the shoulds, but they're ready to create their own rules, please share this episode with them.